1, 2, ready, and...
Hello and welcome to Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. By and for school administrators, this podcast is intended to promote candid discussion and insight about our great profession. My name is Rick Sola, and as Communications Director for the Kansas Principals Association, I am the host, but I am certainly not the feature. Sit back, take a sip, and enjoy. This is Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Cool Coffee with Kansas Principals. Today, I am here with Mrs. Principal Carothers from Caldwell Elementary School in Caldwell, Kansas, USD 360, and KPA President for the 25-26 school year, but we'll get into that here in a bit. Crystal, welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great having you, and we are just talking off the air, if you will, and Caldwell, Kansas, for those who aren't familiar, where are you in Kansas?
So we are pretty much 1 hour straight south of Wichita. We're on the Oklahoma border. Every year we even have a big tournament, basketball tournament, Border Queen. So yeah, definitely right on the Oklahoma border.
That's awesome. Is there a lot of crossover with your high schools in the area where you play any Oklahoma schools?
We used to a long time ago, but we just don't anymore. I mean, we pretty much stay in our league, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, as we get started here, and like I said, new KPA president, but we'll get to that. Want to talk a little bit just about your road to the chair, your elementary principal in Caldwell, Kansas. Where did you start in education, and what led you to Caldwell?
So I started as a high school principal at Wichita South High School, which is a pretty intimidating job, like a 21-year-old walking into a high school, being their art teacher was a lot. But what made it really amazing is because in a big school like that, you kind of have a whole department of other fine arts majors and things like that, and you just latch on to each other, and it was just awesome. But the funny thing is that Kara Leedy, who is director of KPA, was actually my principal when I was there. So it's just a fun connection. Like, you always, that's the best thing about education. You never know who you're going to run into 10 years later. So go ahead.
I was going to say that is absolutely just so true, and what a cool connection going back to your first year in education, and then here you are now working side by side with Kara. And that was a lesson that was kind of impressed upon me early on as an administrator. Is you just never know the connections that people have, and so it all the more reason to speak positively and favorably. You just never know who you're talking to. You said starting out Wichita South High School, 21 years old. One of my earliest, don't put me in this position kind of thing was, I remember student teaching around the same age, and students were inviting me to parties. And I thought, this is an awful thing. Like, no, and please, I'm trying to get my career off the ground. Yeah. Did you have it? Yeah. Did you have any kind of like, oh man, I am right out of college, and these kids are 3 years younger, and it's just, challenging just because you're young and new and inexperienced?
Well, I think being in the art field, like, most of the students wanted to be there, so it was very, I don't know, it was more fun, and like they wanted to be in your class, like, so they actually chose to be there. So we did a lot of fun things together, and they, I think, laughed along with me of the mistakes I made, because they were pretty laid back, I think, most of the time.
Awesome. So Wichita South High School, and then from there, where'd you go?
I actually went down to elementary middle school, and I was kind of a assessment prep at Harper, and then Harper Elementary, and then the 5th and 6th grade math teacher job opened, so then I became a math teacher. So from an art teacher to a math teacher, but it was a lot of fun. So, and then I was at Harper for about 10 years, and then I got my admin and came to Caldwell, and this is my 6th year at Caldwell.
said math and art, and I'm a social studies guy, and I'm thinking those are two wild worlds apart. And because I feel closer to art than I do math, that was not my strength. But do you still feel equally as connected to math and art, or was art more your passion? And then
No, I
how did that
actually
happen?
love them both. It was just, I don't know. I think they were so different. I just saw it as a challenge, and I don't know. I
Yeah,
just jumped for it.
that's awesome. So we're sitting here at the start of the year. So we're recording this. It's actually July 30th. Crystal, when do your teachers report back to you?
They come back the 11th.
Okay. And so we're here where I'm at. It's the 5th. They actually come back. But as you're gearing up for the year, what's something you're intentional about right now as you prepare for teachers and then eventually students to come back?
Well, we shuffled teachers around. So first, just making sure they have everything in their room, like all the curriculums coming in, I mean, we were literally unloading math boxes, and then we got a new CKLA curriculum. So we were putting that all in their rooms. So first, making sure they have everything they need, especially our new teachers. And then honestly, we're really just going to be intentional about, we sat down in a meeting today, and just like that first staff meeting, like we're just going to put it all out there and just make sure those routines are solid. I mean, we're in elementary and we just have to do it a million times, and that's okay. But just like, are we actually doing the same thing the correct way? And that's really, it was actually at USA, I sat in like a session, and it was all about teach like a champion. And there's mixed feelings about teach like a champion, but I did a book study and pulled out kind of the routines and the things that I loved about it. And then that's just every staff meeting, we're just going to go over a new one and hope that we're doing all the things we're supposed to for these kids, so they know exactly what they need to do, so that the learning part is easy for them. They don't have to worry about all the other things. It's just you're in there to learn, and you're not getting distracted by all the tiny things that go on in a classroom every day.
Well, you mentioned USA Kansas, and I was there with my team as well. A lot of great stuff, but I love that you came away with something not just to bring to your building, but also to kind of create an arc for your year as far as bringing something to each staff meeting, with that. And as we get into the start of the year, you talked about what you're intentional about. What's got you super excited here in the next few weeks?
So this kind of goes into my crazy story. We redid our playground, and you think it's silly, but we had turf for a while and it was just falling apart. So we kind of redid the playground. And that's what I'm excited for the kids to see it, because it's actually been closed all summer, and we're such a small community. Like, our playground is huge for our kids. So I'm excited for them to come back and get to see and play on the new equipment or just different things. So
What's the big new feature that they're going to love?
the tire swing, because our tire swing was falling apart, and not falling apart, it was just, it needed to go. So and that's the thing, that every recess there's a line for.
Yeah. You said you're replacing turf though.
Yes.
So what's in its place now?
So we laid sod
Oh,
down,
okay. Okay.
and we
Well,
really
very good.
filled a bigger area, so they have a bigger grassy area to play. So their football games are going to be a little more intense now.
Well, it's funny. So I'm not in the elementary school, but the district I'm in, we recently, within the last several years, we have multiple elementary schools, but they replaced pea gravel with, like kind of a synthetic type of deal. But just funny things that you don't think about, at least where I'm sitting. And the principals there was talking about the pea gravel that would end up in the buildings and all over, and they're all over the asphalt that would connect to the playground, and
Yeah.
so this big undertaking. So it's like every area's got like its thing. Things just wear out. But well, very good. So I mentioned your the KPA president this year. Talk a little bit about what the KPA has kind of been for you and your career, and then ultimately it's led to you now this year being the KPA president.
I guess just those organizations, KPA, USA, they have just been a lifeline for me. I mean, I feel I'm pretty still new to being an admin. Like, I feel like I always learn something every year, like everybody, but this only being my 6th year, like to not have like those conferences to go to and kind of learn from others and making connections with others and hearing that I'm not the only one in that situation has really helped. And I just have to give kudos, especially to Kara Lady. She's just been honestly a godsend to me, and me like knowing her from the past has definitely helped because we already had that trust built, but it really has been just a lifeline for me, like those organizations.
So you mentioned Kara. Talk about the networking that has been kind of afforded to you through this. Some others across the state, like you said, you're in the Oklahoma border near there, not a large district or town. So those connections and networking, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, honestly, just going to the conference that opened up networks, like sitting in common sessions. You just sit by somebody and you're like, hey, are you elementary, or why are you here? And just having those, I call them partner conversations, or shoulder partner conversations in elementary. But it's been so great. But then I go and I look at even just our board, and I mean, you have high school, middle school, like all around the state. And I think really like stepping up and being on the board has even been even more so for me, because again, I'm a leader in my building, but how else can I help other principals who I know are going through the same thing? So just that giving back piece.
So you mentioned 6th year, and you still feel kind of the newness of the job, but I bet you've also been in positions where you have become the mentor to a new administrator somewhere along the way. Have you had many of those opportunities where you find yourself people asking you questions as the experienced administrator?
I have just again, when you make that connection and they know, like, I'm also the title director. So I went to like our first of the year title meeting, and just sitting next to someone who's just jumping into that role, I'm just like, please call me. Like, I mean, you just give them your number, your email, and just like, I've been there, like, it's a lot, like, here's 2 things you need to start off with. So I think that like as educators, you just want to help everybody especially if they're going through the same thing you just went through.
Yeah. You kind of alluded to this, but I hear, I've been a building principal for 10 years, 15 in administration, and there's still a lot of times where I feel new, even though that's not a new principalship. I don't know that 6 years would be new, but there's times it feels new. And I think you're kind of touching on like humility, basically, the willingness to acknowledge that there are things that come up that we don't know, or we want to phone a friend or get some input, or need to stretch our brains in a different way. And I think that's really a good thing. But I think that is something unique about our jobs, is to be in something for years, but then, man, you get something that's a new one, or it's a new wrinkle. And, and so I love that. I love hearing you say that, because I think of just the humility to hear you talk about, I'm 6 years in, but I still feel new, which means you're probably asking questions, you're talking to mentors and that sort of thing. So,
we opened, like, last year we opened a new daycare. Like, our community was so supportive, and they passed a bond, and we were able to build this new center with its preschool and daycare. And so learning all of the daycare world is just, it's a lot. But we went on 3 different tours to other schools that are doing it, and they were just so gracious and kind. I will give a shout out to Rachel Dollinghouse at Rose Hill. She was honestly a godsend in any question we had. So, and then at Belle Plaine, they were super gracious. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. In education, everyone wants to help. Everyone just wants to see you succeed, because they knew just like if you were in the classroom, you want your students to succeed, you want others to succeed, because it only makes us all better.
And so now you're a year into that. And,
yeah.
And probably discovering new challenges and things, but that's great. And also the team aspect of the jobs that we do. So you're now moving into the role of KPA president. What is that going to look like for you this year, or as it relates to KPA? We've got the conference in November, which is fantastic, by the way. Highly recommend. But what's it going to look like for you this year with this added role?
I think it's just, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna sit in that president role, but it's teamwork. It's gonna be everybody hands on deck, like looking over the sessions again, making sure, we have a variety, but it's everybody. I might just help Kara more a little bit here and there, but it's like just because you're in the president role, it's definitely a teamwork. Being on the board, it's everybody.
Right. Okay, so putting you on the spot as the KPA president, and you have, I'm sure every principal in the state is listening to this podcast, I'm sure. But what message would you like to put out to principals who are at the start of a new year, and for some who may be in their first, some who may be in their 30th in education? What's a message that you would like to share on behalf of KPA?
Definitely go to the conference. It'll be great. But also never get away from the classroom. If there's a day that is so crazy because of meetings or whatever, and I haven't been in a classroom hardly, like those are my hardest days. Like if I'm not in a classroom, it's heartbreaking because I don't know what my staff are going through if I'm not there. And then so when they bring it up, or if they do have an issue, then I can always go in and help because I've actually seen it firsthand. Like the further you get away from the classroom, the further you get away from education.
Yeah. And of course, I don't know if credibility is the right word, but just staff appreciate that. Getting into the classroom, you're in there with them, especially if you know of some challenges that may be going on behaviorally or whatever, and you're there to be able to observe and process with them afterwards, and certainly can go a long way. And kids
if you
love
can sub in a classroom, even better, because I've learned so much subbing. We all went through some crazy stuff these past years, and sometimes you just don't have enough subs, and just being in that classroom as the teacher and really seeing, it's amazing. It's amazing to just step back in there sometimes. So, yeah.
Well, I shared it, I think, recently on this podcast, but I subbed at an elementary school, 45 minutes, and oh my goodness, there's so much work that goes involved to the elementary teachers. Kudos to all of you, and it was such a good experience. I love the interaction with the elementary kids. They're so quick to laugh, to fist bump, to want to hug, which I'm not used to. I'm like, oh gosh, like, oh sure.
On the side.
Yeah, like but no, just a lot of great things going on. So kind of totally random, but we're at the start of the year, and I'm looking at our calendar, and always put the back to school nights on the calendar. I assume you have a back to school night.
We
of
do.
Some sort?
We do. Yeah.
When is it? Do you have it on your calendar?
Is August 12th in the evening. And they just come in, they do stations, and then there our pharmacy here in town again is so gracious. Like our community just gives and gives. And they provide supplies, backpacks for every kid. So the kid comes in, goes through some stations. They go through our title station and just gets to see some of the other resources in our town. And the banks come, and do different things. We have Ken Okla here in town, again, a big business here. They're also gracious in just giveaways or things like that. But then they go and meet their teacher and put their supplies there. So literally when they come the first day of school, they have to walk in, their desk is ready, and the teacher just gets to greet them, and they get to start their day.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've got it scheduled even before students, and ours is on the 14th, which is I think the first full day of school.
Oh, wow.
We have that discussion every
You're
year.
exhausted.
I get Rick, why on the first day? I get it, but it's Thursday. The next day is a Friday, But there's always that conversation of should we push it back later into August? Give us a couple weeks or not? And I always like, let's just do it. We're moving. We're on adrenaline anyway. Let's get going. It's going to be great, and let's showcase what we're all about as the school, like right when the school year starts. Anyway, I was just curious on that, and I was looking at ours, and I'm also curious as a former art teacher, do you bring that into your current role at all?
I feel like the creativity side definitely, but I mean, I'm not teaching any art classes, which is sad, but we again, since we're one big building, our K-5 students actually get art once a week, and they get a computer class, and so we're able, those high school teachers will come and then teach our kids at least once a week, so we're pretty lucky for that.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and it's I always try to find ways to bring I guess like our own passions into the role where it can fit, but I'm still thinking about the art and math correlation or the connection there. So before we close off here, we've heard a little bit about your story and getting to Caldwell. This is a chance for, again, every principal is listening to this podcast. I'm certain of it. But brag on your people, brag on Caldwell Elementary, your district, and all the people that you're with, for those who aren't familiar with Caldwell.
So coming to a 1A district was definitely different for me, but it is just so community, family-based. It's awesome to be able to walk through the whole building and talk to the high school teachers or the middle school teacher. Everyone does their part and pulls their weight, and if someone needs something, everyone tries to step up and help, no matter if they're not another high school teacher. Like we have, counselors that will come down, or our librarian is actually also our assistant principal and our librarian and our elementary counselor. So, you just pick a hat and throw it on and go for it. So our superintendent, Tracy Becker, she's amazing. She came from Stafford a few years ago to us. We had Alan Jameson for many years, and he was great. So I guess I just feel like I've been so lucky to be in their presence and learning from all of them. So they're just awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, and some really, really great words on the people that you work with, day in and day out. And I hope they hear this, because those are, huge compliments. And just like we've talked about, and like you mentioned, like the community aspect of what we do and all the people we work with and around is vital to a successful school year and for our students, which is where we're at right now. And so, Crystal, I appreciate your time, because I know this is kind of I wouldn't even call it the calm before the storm. This is the storm before the storm. It's fun. Storm has a negative sound to it, but it's fun. There's a lot going on, so taking the time to sit down and do this, I really appreciate that. And I think that's it. We'll sign off, and I want to wish you a great start to the school year.
You too. It'll be up and running anytime now.
and we'll see you for sure in November at the KPA conference.
Definitely. We hope we see everyone there.
Check the notes section for more information on this episode and to learn more about the KPA and its mission to develop and support all principals through optimized learning, collaborative leadership, networking, and service. Be sure to check back in for our next episode and spread the word about cool coffee with Kansas principals. Catch you next time.